When I found out that this was going to be a film, we didn't really know how it was going to happen.
I feel like I've been part of this since the genesis of it.
I was very excited because I understood that, first of all, we could reach a broader audience. This could be seen by people across the country who would not even know what was happening at Bard on the Beach necessarily every summer. And then the other thing being that there was an opportunity to use the visual language to kind of nail our points home.
The decision was made that we're like, okay, it's going to be a film. What does that mean? I immediately started talking with Jonathan about how do we adapt? What is the form of this film? Is it going to be a Zoom film? Is it going to be like we're live on stage in a theater and we just record the whole thing on stage?
It evolved, to be honest, because at the beginning of the project we thought we were just gonna do 4-camera setup and then we're just like filming a play, and then everything just started to evolve. We at some point talked about having 2 cameras to make it faster, and then I realized I'd rather have more time and take more time and be more cautious on the one shot, and then we move on and try to, like nail it out with the first take.
So through that, I was like, great, I need to make a shot list. So I wrote down all the shots, I kind of broke down Kate's script, and I sort of just like sketched out the rough ideas of like what I want each frame to look like, or like each new frame to look like.
I also talked with Arthi a lot to see what she liked. And also because she was very new to the film world, I had to like kind of like investigate what she liked, what she didn't, right?
Main part of the problem was to be able to do a proper, excellent job with limited resources in something that was brand new.
We had a lot of production meetings were very necessary because this was a new world for everybody. I've never worked with theater. They probably didn't work with like a big film production like this, so like having to like mix both worlds required this many meetings.
It became apparent pretty quickly that we needed a first AD to sort of run the room on the shoot. And not only was Annette available to give a bit of advice to Arthi, she happened to be able to, our project happened to fit right into her life in the spot that we needed it to. And so then she came on board.
When Arthi first told me about the schedule and the parameters that they were trying to work within for this project, I just laughed. It was very ambitious. It was a very ambitious shoot.
So it was just that race against the clock of learning enough to be able to get ready.
We saw the location probably 3-4 times. We nailed what gear we needed. And because we're also fighting with a budget, it's like, what do we actually need,
So then we had a couple of site tours where I think anywhere from like 10 to 15 to at one point like 20 of us would go down to the Shad Vault, and we would like walk through and sort of scout out the locations. Our cinematographer Belen was able to come with us. So her and Gerald and Herika, who were talking about lights, would be like in one corner, and then she'd run over to me and we'd talk about like camera angles, and then Malcolm, who's our sound person, is just like looking at the lights, trying to figure out what that humming noise is.
We had 2 workshops that we did online, which were very much storytelling, writing, development of the script.
Harveen and I got really comfortable with the characters. We really refined things.
And we had a very short rehearsal period. It was 3 weeks, and because I was working a full-time job, we only could rehearse in the evenings and then on the weekends. So it was a very odd rehearsal schedule.
It was a different work process in that we were working at night and we had half days. So it really felt like we needed to push pretty hard and fast to get where we had to get to.
And then when we finally got into the rooms together, yes, there were masks, yes, there was social distancing, but we had already developed such a good relationship with the core group of artists involved that we kind of, it wasn't like starting on day 1, it was like starting on day 15.
Charlie and I rehearsed to be flexible. We rehearsed to be adaptable, and we also rehearsed many different versions of scenes. There's a paradox in rehearsing, right? Because you're not really rehearsing a way to do it, but you just know the scene so well that on the moment you can take it in any which direction that you feel like it in the moment.
As theater-trained actors, we are able to take extensive pages of dense material and rhetoric and we were able to memorize it. And because we have the rehearsal time, most of the time film and TV actors don't get the rehearsal time necessary to be off book for a 20-page scene.
We worked on the acting, like the actual scene of it, over the first and second week. And then the third week, I just started acting as a camera. I would be maybe 6 feet apart from them with my phone and just seeing the camera angle and seeing the lens and using that as my guide of how it would look like. And then we started making little adjustments from there on.
More or less, the skeleton of the piece was set on the first day of rehearsal. So we rehearsed it knowing where the camera was going to be, which was really helpful. And it also took a little bit of our creative agency away as actors. But then it was nice in a way because we could just get straight in and just rehearse it and get right into the scene and dig deep and just serve the decision that she had made in terms of the angles, serve that as much as we possibly could.
So we spent all of this time together for the prior 2.5 weeks, not seeing below the nose. And then when we finally took them off, I swear to God, it was like revealing your unmentionables to the room.
It was like we were doing the scene for the very first time. It felt so vulnerable, and it was electric. It really felt very charged. And that coming off was just like, whoa, all of a sudden we saw each other, and it was very powerful. So I think what was such a blessing for us, this is really truly something I was thinking about for film in general, like they should invest in rehearsal time for their actors.
How well rehearsed the actors were, it saved us so much time on the actual, when we were actually shooting. So it allowed the camera team to be able to use more time setting up, which means that our production value went up because they could make sure that everything was looking just that much better, right? It was a really valuable piece to have them so well rehearsed.
Here goes our lighting designer. She is on a kind of tough rehearsal day when we're like, oh, it's not working, like what's happening? And she was sitting in the room with us, and I remember at the end of the day, she said, I'm so grateful to be here creating with all of you. Like, I can't believe that we get to do this. Like, we're the ones who get to do this. And it really, in that like moment of tension, shifted the perspective where I think everyone was like, yeah, like we're so fortunate to be able to work on a show, to work with this team.
Just blew me away. And I knew from that moment that we were in really good hands.